I've been dropping my baits over the backs of boats for 20 years, and you want me to start casting them away?
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Oh, I'm not so sure. Hello, mate. All right.
Don't forget, where you've been fishing up to now, you've got, what, 200 foot of water?
Yes.
Where we're going in the Bristol Channel, you've only got 35, 40 foot of water.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that you drop your bait over the back of the boat, straight into a zone where the fish can hear what you're doing and what you're saying.
That's a good point, actually. I've always thought the sea anglers were a lot, were quite noisy, really, compared to the freshwater brigade.
Oh, they are, yeah, and they tend to wear loud clothes and all that. Mind you, the freshwater brigade are starting to use reds and yellows and all sorts of things.
Are they?
Well, for advertising purposes, obviously.
Getting livelier.
Well, yeah, something like that. Anyway, let's have a look and see what we've got in the jolly old box. I suspect most of it will be discarded.
There we go.
Right, top shelf we can leave at home.
Yeah.
Second shelf, apart from the beads, I think we can leave all that at home. Start at the bottom. That'll do nicely for uptide boat casting.
New toy.
What did the wife say?
She didn't know.
That's fair enough. Same with most anglers.
Yeah.
That thing needs a bloody good clean. What have you done with it?
Just worked it hard.
Left it on the boat, I suppose.
Yes, most of the time.
Yeah.
It just sits there in a bucket.
Typical boat angler. We've got a lot of money's worth there.
Yeah.
Not quite ruined yet, but it's well on its way.
Okay.
Right, let's have a little look through the... Most of the hooks, I think, are rather on the large side. Yes, that's a young gaff. Bit too big for what we're going to do.
Right.
We'll be using about 5/0s because the species we're after are things like rays, smoothhounds, possibility of a taupe.
Mm-hmm.
So we want hooks that are big enough, but not quite that big.
So all this sort of gear is a bit too heavy for the job?
Possibly a little bit too heavy for the job, so let's start from scratch. We'll start off reel, fine, keep that.
Yeah.
Discard your current box.
Okay.
Well, it sounds a bit hard, but that's life.
Any excuse for some new bits?
Oh, you obviously had a word with the wife then.
She didn't know.
That was fair. Right, what we're going to need, hooks to start with. Now, I should be using 5/0s, and I suspect that you'll want to do roughly what we're doing.
Right,
so,
yeah.
Box of 5/0s. Ideal, stick those down. Swivels. Beads. Just the job. These things, few of those.
What are these?
These are easy links. These are for attaching your lead.
Right.
Okay, we put a swivel on one end, lead on the other. Why buy them ready-made when you can make them up? Small swivel, big swivel, you can use exactly what you like.
So in principle, we're going to use the same terminal rig. We're going to use ledgers.
Oh yes, we'll be using ledgers.
But finer gear.
Oh yes, but there are other little bits and pieces that we'll be using as well, which we'll show you a bit later on. A few swivels.
Seem quite small. Do they still do the job then?
Well, you probably tow a mini behind one of those.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, they're tough as old boots, these things.
Okay.
I can't break them. I'm bloody certain you can't.
Right.
Right, what else do we need? We've got 18 pound on there. Need a shock leader.
Right.
Alright, now shock leader does two things. In surf casting, we'd use roughly 10 pounds breaking strain for every ounce of the lead that we use, but we're boat casting. We're not casting anywhere near as hard, so we don't need anything quite as strong as that. But what we do need is a little bit of strong line, so that if we do get a big fish on and we need to add a bit of control, use the old high handhold on the rod and get the fish into the boat. With a big skate with a tide running on it, you put on a hell of a pull, and you need to overcome the tide.
Right.
In some circumstances, the skipper can slip a buoyed anchor and go down the tide to meet the fish. In some ways, it seems like cheating really, but shock leader onto the end of that just gives you a bit of confidence and ensures safety.
Okay.
So, small shock leader, I think. Oh, just the job.
I'll just remortgage the house to pay for all this. So I've got my reel with my 18 line, I've got my shock leader, I've got my hooks from the end.
Got some swivels.
Got some swivels. Weights.
Weights, they're over there.
Okay. Those are my weights down the bottom.
No, they're too much for what we want. What we need is a lighter lead. Breakaway are ideal. And these are nice because they collapse. But where we're going, we've got very strong tides, so we actually make our own leads, and we'll be bringing those with us. And these will have the wires coming out from the nose, fixed wires rather than rotating wires, and we bend them into an anchor shape.
Right, and they don't break away?
They don't break away.
With you.
Commonly known as young coat hangers.
Young coat hangers.
That's it. So that's what we'll be using. We'll take some of these with us.
Yeah.
We find there is a way of bending these wires, which again I'll show you a bit later on, to make these far more efficient.
How many of these do we want?
couple each, that's
Okay. Can we have 4 of those, please? Anything else we need?
I think a little bit of luck, and a little bit of perseverance.
Right.
I think we've got everything we need.
Now this, I'll find a little bit of cash.
Sounds great to me. Bought the reel.
Yep.
And we've stolen the rod from the shop.
That's good because I couldn't afford it.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice high visibility line. Ignore what everybody else says about having invisible line. If you get into a tangle with everybody else on the boat, your line's bright yellow. You just cut all the others.
Alright, that's a good idea.
Sounds,
No deficiency when it comes to the fish.
well, it sounds a bit mercenary, but never mind. The fish don't care.
They really
They're,
don't.
They're not interested.
Okay.
Sea fish don't order hookies.
We've spent all these years sort of going for more and more invisibility on the line, you see.
And you're just wasting his time. If you look at a commercial fisherman and what he uses bright orange chlorine for his hooks.
He does indeed, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll start off, that's our main line. We'll add a bit of shock leader, but it doesn't have to be as strong as if we were fishing on the beach,
Right.
okay? Because we're not out and out blasting for casting. We're just casting away from the boat. So this is a bit of 30 pound, single overhand knot. We've given ourselves a few spare inches of shock leader to enable us to pull the knot up tight. Then the thin main line is threaded through. It will only go correctly one way, as you can see. That's the wrong way, and that's obviously the right way. So again, give ourselves a little bit to play with, a little bit of saliva to lubricate the knot, then we tighten that knot up. Now then, that will have put a slight kink in our main line, and if we pull through, you can just feel it. So we pull through a bit and just trim off that little bit. Now we need to make a loop, thus, and then we put the end through the loop and around the shock leader 5 times. 2, 3, 4.
So the loop was in the main line, wasn't it?
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Pull up, a bit of saliva just to lubricate the knot, then we pull one against the other, like so. That's the knot done. Just trim the ends nice and close. That's 1, 2. Right, that's that. Now if you'd like to start winding.
Okay.
Now this does 2 things. One, it ensures that you have plenty of safety margin for when you're casting.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing it does is when you've got a big fish close to the boat, you can tighten the drag up a little bit and give you a little bit more control.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll
How much have I put on there,
look
Phil?
off there. You're about 2.5 times the rod length.
Right.
So you've got, what, roughly 10-foot rod.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got about 25 feet.
Or how many turns?
Well, it depends on the size of the spool.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really go on turns in this
Fair
particular case.
So about 20 foot or so then?
About 25 feet.
Okay.
Onto the bits and pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Going to keep it reasonably simple. That's the original type of little baby boom.
I like this sort of sliding weight carrier, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's a good idea,
Yeah.
but it's been improved on now,
Mm-hmm.
somewhat. So
What about value for expenditure on this compared to an ordinary link swivel and a couple of beads?
I prefer these.
You do?
All right, they're
Yeah.
a couple of bob, but
Mm-hmm.
well, never mind. But I prefer the new ones, which in fact make a little bit more sense, if you think about it, because the line goes down through there,
Yeah.
through the funnel, bead on.
Think you need a bead before you go to the knot? Because I
Oh, yes.
thought the plastic was quite sort of user-friendly, isn't it?
Well, it just acts as a buffer, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
It'll actually bounce off that.
Right.
Swivel, you don't have to have a gigantic one. Most important thing with tying up bits and pieces is the ease of getting hold of them.
Right,
Yeah,
yes.
it's all very well having really nice, elegant end tackle. If you're fiddling about when it's cold on a boat and it's bumping about a bit and you can't get hold of it. So
You want to be able to use it, don't
So
you?
I tend to use things that are slightly bigger, basically so I can get hold of them. So it's 1, 2, 3. Use this grinner knot again. Down and through and tuck it 3 times. Once, twice, 3 times. A little bit of leg. And pull him up tight. So now we've got a sliding outfit. We'll trim the end. Now, obviously, the lead goes on this end. Now this is an ordinary breakaway, although where we're going we'll have to use slightly heavier leads than this, and we'll also be using nose wired.
Right.
But there is another little trick you can do, is to have that on another piece of line, put a secondary lead directly on there, so that is about 18 inches away from this. And
I see.
And it acts like the chain on an anchor, and it will
Yes.
deliberately hold that down, so it
Gotcha.
grips a little bit better than
Right.
it would normally.
We'll look at the difference on these when we've got these longer ones on the boat tomorrow.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, simple as that. So now you want to trace, might as well use the same stuff. Fish don't know the difference. For what we're doing, this is 30 pound. What the fish we're after, raise, won't do any real damage. We'll check it. If we get a fish, you always have a quick look at it. You know, anybody who doesn't, you know, deserves to lose a British record.
So what sort of length of trace are we looking at here?
Well, we are about 3 foot, I suppose.
And that'll do us across the board for all our fishing tomorrow.
That'll do nicely for what we're doing tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. 5-0 UPTIDE Viking. 3 times round, that's 3. Down and through, and then tuck the knot once, twice, 3 times. Big advantage with this is that the tag end will point away from the hook,
I'm with you. Yeah.
as you can see. So if we now trim that off, it will help to hold the bait on.
Okay.
Okay. What I do like doing with some of the baits that we'll be using is a second hook, and in this case we want it just on the trace and sliding, so we'll just thread through like that. Now what we do with this is, once we've arranged the bait, for instance a side of mackerel, okay, this one will be threaded through and through and through, so that will be down near the point of the
Right.
side, and this top hook will then wind it around about 3 or 4 times, then hook it through, so that you end up with a...
Oh, that's a good presentation. Yeah, we've got a long bait there,
You've got it,
and the fish can take it from either end.
and it doesn't collapse in a big lump,
I'm
a
with
big
you.
mess.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, we'll just attach that on the end. Through the either swivel, 3 times around. 3. Down and through, as if you're tying an ordinary blood knot, and turn the end back and go through the loop you've created there. Not just once, but 3 times. That's the 3rd time. Well, pull on the short end, the knot will form itself, a little bit of leg, delicious, and slide it up. There it is. Quick trim, and there we go. Ready to roll. Right, it is a nasty piece of equipment. Everybody says, oh gosh, you can't cast that, but in fact all you do is you pick your bait up and you impale your bait on one of those to cast.
Right. And that will automatically release as it
Won't
hits the
come off.
water.
Just like that.
Gotcha.
So simple. And then of course that's your bite indication bit, because that will slide as far as you want.
I'm with you. So this is our basic rig for UPTIDE boat fishing.
That's it. There are others. Now, one point here. Once you reach this stage, you're on the boat, right, you've been fishing for a bit, you wind in. When you want to lift that inboard, lift it in, grab the lead. Don't grab the bait.
Grab the lead.
Because the lead is the key. That means you've got control. If you try and grab hold of the bait, the lead can flail about, and if the boat's rocking about a bit, you'll end up with a face full of lead.
Right. That's quite a dangerous sort of rig, actually, isn't it?
Can be a
really.
bit
So you do need to take care.
That's it.
With what you're doing.
Well, it doesn't matter if you hit anybody else.
No, let's worry about ourselves.
That's it.
Yes. Right. Okay. Should we go and try and cast this a few times?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's get control of this before we actually go on a boat, shall we?
Okay, now use about a 3.5 foot drop. You just swing the lead gently towards you, and away she goes. Boom.
And we're looking at what sort of range to cast from the
Well,
boat?
that's 80-90 yards there.
And that's perfectly adequate.
Oh yes, perfectly adequate. Now you will have noticed that I just flung it straight into gear. Now when we get on the boat, you'll cast out and you'll leave it out of gear, and you'll just control it and let the line drop and drop and drop and drop and drop and drop and drop, and you'll feel the lead hit the bottom.
Right.
And you still don't put it in gear.
Okay.
You allow even more line to pay out. You keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, until if you've cast up there, you wait until the line appears to be coming from over there.
Right.
Only then do you put it in gear, and you don't tighten up. You just put the rod in the rest and let the tide do the rest.
Okay, I'm with you. So it'll tighten up, take the weight away, and settle at its own
It'll
level.
all settle exactly the same way as chucking an anchor over a boat
Yes.
and allow the anchor to settle. This effectively is an anchor. And what will happen is as the tide grips, so the tip will go right over like that.
Right, I'm with you.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then when you get a bite, it'll do that.
Gotcha. Because the fish has lifted the weight.
Fish has lifted the lead, triggered the lead.
Yeah.
Hey presto, you've got a load of slack line, and then all you need to do is to wind down the slack line and hit.
Right.
Hit your fish, and you're away. So now it's your turn to try chucking it out.
Right.
So,
Safely.
safely, that's it.
So almost the weight of the line and the setup that you've got there, almost that'll fix the hook in its own right, won't it? That'll set the hook in its own right.
Oh, that's handy. Got it. Right, there we go. We'll go. Don't forget, grab the lead, not the rig.
Okay.
Where you go. That's it. Reset the water.
My baited hook on my reset wires.
That's the way.
Safety.
Now you can let go because it's all in one lump.
Everything's under control.
You've got roughly the right amount of drop.
Amount of drop that feels right for me.
That's it. Now don't forget, you want to just gently swing it away, let it come in towards you.
Say casting.
Away she goes. Boom. Thumb on.
Come on.
And when you're out in the boat, wait until you feel the lead hit the ground, hit the bottom, and still allow more line to pay out. Let the tide take it.
Okay. When I feel the lead hit the bottom, a little bit more.
A lot
let
more.
It settle.
A lot more line.
A lot more line. Lock it off. Let
Just-
it do its job.
Just put it down in the rest
Set my
and
rod.
let the tide tighten it up for you.
Okay.
Okay, but anyway, wind it all in. We'll pack it all away, put it in the back of the wagon, and we'll go fishing.
Okay.
you using for bait, Bob?
Yeah, I got a sand eel on one and a slice of mackerel on the other one.
Oh, it sounds quite tasty. Any sign of life?
No, not yet.
Right, for where we are out in the channel at the moment, good baits to use. The oily fishes, mackerel and herring being the oiliest. Then there's the squid, the calamari from California. This is English squid, cut into long strips, which is very attractive to the fish. And my personal favourite, the sand eels, can be absolutely deadly. Then there's the ubiquitous ragworm, and everybody's favourite, the joker in the pack, the peeler crab.
Oh, you ain't giving up. It's a saltwater bunny, this is.
You reckon?
Bloody conger eel.
Push conger.
It's conger, alright. Well, actually,
I'll get my old boy here.
I'll tell you what, I've got a £100 trace on it. You can probably
Let's get that box out of the way, Phil. You haven't seen the way I do it. I'll cut the box out of the way. Could be a conger. Got the net there. Got the gaff here.
1 month with
somebody move my uptide, please. It's a conger.
You walk up there, Bob, if you can.
Yeah.
Go on, let him go.
Not a bad one for this chap. Too much, I think I'll probably have to cut the trace. Oh, I only have one in there.
Right, because we're fishing today for silation, silation covers, as a general term, the flat rays, sharks, dogfish, all that general cartilaginous species. Because we're fishing for those, we're using freshly dead sand eels. And a lot of people have trouble keeping sand eels on the hook, but it's so simple. Don't try and thread right from the tail or right from the mouth. Go in about an inch down from the tail and just roll it round the hook, like that. Bring the hook out about an inch from the head and keep going and just slide up, and you'll see that the knot has now vanished. Once the eel's nice and straight, just put a simple hitch around the tail like that, and that's it, ready to go. You can cast that now away from the boat as hard as you like, and it won't tear off.
Excellent. I like that idea.
Nice and easy.
It's quite a good way of dealing with sand eel when they've been dead for a while and they start to soften up, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, we're using this for a freshly dead sand eels. These were picked up yesterday. They were still alive, and they've just faded out overnight, basically.
Frozen eel can often be a little softer than what
Oh
we're
yes,
using
yes.
today,
Well,
isn't
once
it?
you've
So-
frozen it, you form these ice crystals, and as they form, they literally tear the flesh apart. But there you go.
That's a good way of keeping it on the hook.
Oh yeah, works well. So
Sling it out and see what happens.
that's it. Let's do that, shall we? Now again, from what we learnt on the beach, control of the tackle, hang on to the lead, just drop like so onto one of the wires of the breakaway. Shorten up. We're not beach casting today, so we can use a shorter drop, so we're only using about 2 feet. Reel out of gear. There's nobody about, but if you get into the habit of shouting, casting! So you see the eel stayed on. The gull followed it, but it didn't get it. If the gull follows it and the gull then lights on the water, you know it's come off the hook.
Right.
Okay, easy as that. Right, now then, don't put it back in gear. Just let the line pay off and pay off and pay off. Having cast that way, we now want the line sticking out 90 degrees to that. Okay, as you can see, it's drifting round at the back, which is exactly what we want. Now we can put it in gear, rest the rod down, stay with the rod.
Don't walk away.
Don't walk away from
Keep
it.
an eye on it.
Stay with it. Right, if the rod starts sliding about, there are some very nice little rod rests that you can clamp yourself onto the rails, providing the skipper will let you. always ask first. Don't just go crunch, crunch, crunch. That'll do nicely.
Put the slack
Right,
down.
slack line now, Joe. Don't put the rod down. Just push the lever back. That's it.
Beautiful, Joe.
Yeah, small eyed ray. You can see the size of the eyes. Tiny, that's why they call this. They should actually be called a painted ray. It's a female. I suppose about 7 or 8 pounds. There you go.
Oh, it's a swimmer as well.
There you go. What have you got there, Bob?
They don't want to come to Daddy. Come on, my beauty. Beautiful fish, you. My first taupe.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my first taupe.
Excellent. Casting. Nice smooth cast. You've got the hang of that now.
It's a good reel, yes. This is the only reel I've ever had that I've never had a single run on.
You've only had the bloody thing for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I did some slinging with it down at Plymouth.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so I've done 100 casts with it now, and I haven't had one bird's nest. So.
Yeah.
Coming back.
Well, it wasn't so bad a cast, Phil, but I can feel that lighter breakaway with the shorter wires I was using, bouncing along on the bottom a bit. What about those long ones that you were going to bring up from the house?
Well, that's it. We're in much deeper water now, so instead of your standard breakaway, Nigel Forrest invented this thing from the Breakaway Tackle Development Company.
No beads.
Which, well, it doesn't need beads. It still breaks away, as you can see. It'll break away like that. But in the tide that we're fishing at the moment, we're going to need what's known as a young coat hanger.
Good grief.
So what you've got to do now is to wind that all back in and put that thing on. It's fixed wire lead, and obviously grips really hard, but if you pull hard enough it'll spring itself out, but it acts just like an anchor. Excellent.
Good tool.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stick that one on when I bring it back in.
No, you won't.
I'll give this one a try for a few minutes.
Because I'm going to stick that one on mine.
So we know why we're uptide fishing in terms of the noise we make in the boat, etc. And I understand the reasons why we want to cast away. What do you think the fish are actually doing at the moment then in relation to the boat?
Obviously they're avoiding it. There is definitely an area where the fish tend to stop feeding. They'll go through the area. If you watch a sheep, a flock of sheep in the field, and a fox appears, all the heads will come up and they'll all watch the fox. They won't run away. They'll all watch the fox until the fox is gone, and then the heads back down, chomp, chomp, chomp. Okay?
Right.
Exactly the same with fish. They'll get up here, what's that funny noise? Stop feeding. What you have to remember is fish, the main 3 instincts with fish is food, sex and survival. Okay? Sex is obvious, food is obvious, but survival comes first, then the food, and then the sex.
Right.
Okay, so survival, they get near to us, they hear the funny noises, thump, 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 natter, 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 stop feeding.
So what you're saying predominantly then is the fish are still probably around the boat.
Oh,
but
yes.
By the basis that they won't feed, they won't of course therefore pick up our hooks.
Well, we're using this analogy with the sheep.
Yes.
That's the thing,
with you.
sheep stop feeding.
So we're casting away from the boat to go into the area where the fish is still comfortable. What you got on there then, Bob?
I think it's it's a thornback. Nice one too.
Oh, pretty fish.
Beautiful. Probably my favourite.
Oh, well done, Bob. Nice slimy roker. Thornback ray, much beloved in the fish and chip shops, but the fish and chip people aren't having this one because we're into conservation these days.
Extraordinary animal.
Nice to
It's
have a
almost
look at
got
some feet
little
now.
legs at the back, isn't it?
That means there's going to be a male or two floating about. So it's a female because it's got these little short claspers.
You can get a false take with a thornback ray, can't you? Because when they first lie down on the line,
Oh yes,
before they
yes.
scoop the bait
They're
up.
quite often hooked in the wing, and quite commonly they're tangled up all over the place. Let's pick them up. Now from the back, here's the spines. Classify this as a thornback. Interesting creatures. From the age of the dinosaur. Let's put the old girl back in the water. Go on, girl, there's a lovely male down there for you. Away you go. There we go. Right. Nice bit of squid. Try and get this skin off if you can. Show the really white, glistening flesh underneath. Yeah. Again, we can use the same hitch technique, so we'll start in about an inch away. And in this case, just go right the way down the squid, literally weaving it on. Pull that in. In this particular case, you may need to do a couple of hitches. So, I'll still hold it just nice and tight. There we go, look at that.
Leaving the head on.
Pull it off if you like.
What do you think?
I'll leave it on. It's all wriggly bits, nice wriggly bits. It goes down through the water. So there we go.
The reason we used to remove them a lot when we were younger is because we were taught that the dye wasn't a good thing when it came to fishing. What do you think of that?
Well, there's so little in these things anyway. With a big squid, yeah, it makes a big difference, but with these things, there's very, very little in them. Funny thing is, the time that they're caught, they're actually in the process of spawning when they're caught, and another couple of weeks and they'd be dead anyway.
So the dangly bits outweigh the ink.
Oh, I think so. I think so. Let's see if it's the matching male to the female we had a little while back. Hey, Bob's your uncle. That's the male. That's lovely. Thank you, Skipper. Another slimy roker. Thornback ray to the uninitiated. This one's the male. We had the female earlier. They tend to swim in pairs, and the male has these rather nasty looking devices here. These are what he opens up the female with to deposit his sperm inside. Whether you want to know that or not, that's what happens. There's the back. Again, there's the thorns. They can do quite a nasty injury. If you want to pick one of these things up, there's two beautiful little soft spots just either side of the mouth where you can get hold of him and hold him safely. Don't grab the tail and don't try and pick him up across here by the claspers, or you do yourself a nasty. He's away.
Straight back and over. Sorry? So in UK waters, what are the best places to fish up tide?
Well, it's not the best places. What you've got to look for is the specific conditions that you're after. What you're after is perhaps areas where you've got some nice sandbanks, shallow sandbanks with nice gullies in between, where you've got a relatively strong tide. Estuaries are the favourite places. I mean, we're in the basically the Severn estuary like, although we're a little bit farther down, classified Bristol Channel, Thames Estuary, which is just about the same sort of size as this. But any of the really big river estuaries would attract the attention of people who like this type of fishing. Hyde Gammon's favourite fish. I understand he was actually, before he left for the United States, he was actually forming the British Dogfish Appreciation Society.
Who was that?
Hyde Gammon. Right, the one on the left, this one, is the male fish, and there's his claspers that he uses to open up the female, as you can see. This one, the female, the cloaca, the same as the chicken has. Otherwise, virtually identical.
Let's put them back together.
That's a spotted dogfish. Put them back together, perhaps they'll mate. Matter of interest, the fish liked the head and left the rest.
That's true. Now, that is interesting, because I would have thrown that bit away.
Shows you, I had the bite, when I get back in, the head's gone, the rest's still there. So obviously, modern methods of fishing, we've got to throw away all the best bits, according to the southwest anglers, and we've got to keep just the head and the nasty bits and fish with that. Goals there to take it, it's a prize.
I know, we've been chucking the fish back.
Yeah.
Casting!
There's an overrun.
Look at that. First diver overrun. Run, you little bug. If you get an overrun,
Just let it
always
run.
give it every chance to
sort itself
out. And there we go.
Lovely, eh?
One cleared reel. Good old diver.
Beautiful fish. Lively, these buggers. Beautiful. If you open these out, these pectorals, they've got beautiful blue on them. There we are, absolutely gorgeous. And if you get them from slightly deeper water, they grunt. There you are, there's the colour. Beautiful, it's a little tub gourmet. Right, cloth. Stick my hand on that one. Yeah. There you go. Lovely little fish. Secret with these things, bring the tail up to the head, grasp them both, and then he won't thrash. Won't be able to wind himself round and take all your skin off.
Great little faces.
Got lovely eyes as well.
Yeah.
They're green.
Right.
Dogs away. Oh, what's that Les got? What you got on here, Les? weed, he reckons. Oh, these are nice, eh? Bob's been fishing on this side of the boat with Peter crab for bait, and what we're hoping he's done is he's picked up a smoothhound. We're in about 75 foot of water. We've moved down a bit from the bank we started on with, and this is the first cast. Anchoring up straight away, he's into a fish.
Him's a tangle.
Get out of the way.
He got blue line right round his Rudy bits.
Whoop.
She said, "Yeah, that is."
Nice one, Bob. Got a spotty thing.
Lesser spotted,
No.
more spotted.
Big spotted or small blonde?
Big spotted.
Big spotted. Good. So there's another variety.
Could well be a specimen. What's the record, Bob?
£4.4, I think it is.
Pretty.
Yeah, far off specimen. Care to do the honours with the old bar?
One, don't touch me because I'll screw with you. Thorny.
Quite an interesting one. First one I've ever caught these. Spotted ray. Male. This is fairly obvious by his set of claspers there. He's somewhere around about specimen weight, but not really interested in specimen fishing, so we'll just gently lower him back and let him pursue his love life.
Put me back now. I don't like it. I want to go home.
I suspect that's where he's going.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, after a day's fishing that has been as good as today's, Phil, in 40, 50 foot of water, there's a lot to be said for what you're talking about with uptiding. We've had tope.
Thornbacks, male and female.
That was a good conger.
Very good, especially broad daylight.
Pout.
We don't talk about those.
Doggies.
We definitely don't talk about those.
Good small-eyed ray.
Oh, that was nice, wasn't it?
What sex?
Definitely a female. So what's the female comes up first? Don't ask me why. Don't know. It's always the female though.
A gurnard.
Oh, they're pretty, aren't they?
Pretty.
Pretty. Just the sort of thing you want in the aquarium, really.
Yeah. Turbot.
Yeah, a little bit small, but
Better than no turbot.
better than no turbot at all. Anyway, they're all back down there and swimming about. So
Everything
we can come,
returned for another day.
that's right, we can come out here another day.
Should come back when they're bigger.
Yeah, when you want to come?
Tomorrow.
That'd do great.
Yeah. See if we can book it.
Has he got room on the boat though?
I don't know. I'll just bring this fish in while we're talking about it.
That'd be one or the other of us, wouldn't it? Come on then, Liam. Let's see what you got.
A large stone.
He's caught a rock. Rockfish. A rock salmon.
That's another species for the day.
So it's chewed up. You've had something on there, boy. Look at that, it's taking your hook off. No,
No, it's still there. This is probably my best fish ever. Now, if this was a wreck, Phil, I wouldn't know how to fish these holes. I think we'll just tackle up and send one more bait down to the bottom.
Do you want to keep this?
I do indeed. That's the only thing that we won't return today.
Fair enough.
My wife will be so proud of me.